Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. So today I'm going to be rebuilding the rear drum brakes on my 85 Volkswagen Vanagon while I wait for the new brake lines to come in.
First thing you need to do is take the wheel off and then take the drum off. Make sure you have the e-brake off as well so that it's not pressing up against the drum. So I did have to use a hammer to get the drum off. Well, it's not a hammer, technically the back of an axe. Now we see everything is pretty grimy inside here, but keep an eye on all the springs and everything the way they're set up. The first ones I'm going to take off are these springs on this side, both sides. Then we have a spring here. We have another spring that goes underneath across here. I don't know if you guys can see that right there. Then we have two springs back there holding the brake pads. This is the e-brake adjuster and then the wheel cylinder. The first things I'm going to take off are these two springs. All of this would be a lot easier if I could get the hub off. But when I tried taking the hub off on the other side, I ended up bending my ratchet. And I don't have an impact tool that'll be able to take this off. So we're going to try to get this done without removing the hub. So you just grab this here, the pin from the middle, press in, and then you twist it till it comes loose, and then comes out like that. And the pin comes out from the back. Make sure that you keep this pin and this cap, because the ones that come in the kits don't hold as well, based on all the forums that I read, and they all recommend to reuse the old ones. So that's what we're going to do. But you do replace the spring. So the next thing we're going to do is start taking all the other springs off. So there is a spring right here, that we're going to take off, and it holds this right there. So all you do is grab it, pull up, and release, and it holds on to the brake pad right there, and then just falls out once you remove it. It's pretty simple. And we also have the spring that goes right there underneath. So since that spring doesn't want to come out, what I'm going to do is just grab it like this and pull towards me to unhook it from the bottom, this piece right here from the bottom holder. That way it loosens up on the spring. So now that all of this is loosened up, I can get the e-brake cable off from this side, which all I'm going to do is push in on the bracket, grab the e-brake cable, and then just wiggle it off. Like that. And that's unhooked now, and that's for the e-brake cable. So now we can just do the same thing here. Wiggle off this e-brake as much as we can. That should give us a little bit easier way to remove this e-brake adjuster, because it is stuck and it's hard for me to adjust. But if you can, you just adjust it a little bit to try to make everything looser, just like that, and then you should be able to have an easier time removing everything. Now at this point that everything's kind of loose but still being held on by two springs back there, which are a pain to remove, I'm going to just remove the bolt that holds the master cylinder, which is behind. You do have to disconnect the brake line though. Make sure to always, if you have these caps, put these caps on the brake lines so that no dust gets inside of them. The bolt that's behind holding the master cylinder is a size 13. So you just get a size 13, throw it on, and then so once you get the the bolt off, you can pull the the wheel cylinder out like this, and this is what it looks like. As you can see, it's pretty grimy. So once you have everything that out, you can remove the adjuster, which is this. And you want to keep that. You're gonna have to clean it up, but you want to hold on to this. And now you have much easier access to remove these springs. You just unhook them and the brakes come off. Just like that. Fairly easy. I am going to be replacing the e-brake cables as well.
So at this point my audio cut out, so here I'm just basically just cleaning things up. I used brake cleaner and then got one of these wire brushes and scrubbed everything down to get rid of all the dirt and any like rust or anything like that. I then proceeded to paint the backside of it with some primer just to protect it and make it look better. So here I'm just showing the new wheel cylinder and how to install it. Here I'm just explaining how to be careful with the wheel cylinder and the rubber boots around it so you don't tear them, because I did do that twice and had to replace the wheel cylinder 2 times. This is what's included in the kit that I ordered. It's all the springs that you need, and I'm just showing how to reinstall them. Basically just keep an eye on the way you were removing everything and install everything the same way that it was before. Another thing you want to keep an eye on is how you face the springs to make sure that the hook parts are facing the correct way. Here I'm basically just explaining how to put the brake pads on to the wheel cylinder. Make sure you put the top of the brake pad into the grooves here first, so that way then you can just pull the bottom of the brake pad and hook it onto the bracket that's at the bottom, and you'll see that here in just a minute. Here I'm just going over how you should be really careful installing the brake pad. When you put one side on, make sure that the cylinder doesn't pop out on the other side, because there's nothing like causing back pressure. Otherwise you'll end up having to buy a new wheel cylinder. Here I'm basically explaining that the 2 springs at the top of the brake pad that go under the wheel cylinder, it's easier to use some needle nose pliers to get those on. Some needle nose pliers also make putting on this lower spring easier as well. At this point I realized I forgot to install the e-brake adjuster. So at this point I'm going to have to undo some of the work I already did. So with the e-brake adjuster installed, you basically just turn that little gear section to expand it so that the brake pads move outward. So at this point I realized that the tip of the new e-brake cable is a little bit bigger than the original OEM cable and it wouldn't fit into the slot right here. So I had to use like a heat gun and a screwdriver to stretch and expand that slot to thread through the e-brake cable. So here I'm installing the white spring that goes vertically in the brake pads. So here I'm installing the last spring that holds the brake pads to the back plate using the original pin and original cap. These do take a little bit of hassle to install, just because you have to like push them in and twist at the same time to get them to lock in properly, but after messing around for a little bit, you'll get it. And while I struggle to put this spring on, I wanted to share a quick Bible verse about patience. In James chapter 1 verses 2 through 4, it says, "Consider it pure joy, my brothers and sisters, whenever you face trials of many kinds, because you know that the testing of your faith produces perseverance. Let perseverance finish its work so that you may be mature and complete, not lacking anything." And this is just an overhead view of the process of installing this spring, just so you guys can see it a little bit better. So here I'm just going to be installing the drum. When it came from the kit, it was covered in this like oil, so I did have to wash it with some brake cleaner. So that's why you'll see some like streaks pouring down from the holes. That's just because I was cleaning it up. So here I'm also just explaining how when you're putting them on, you need to make sure that the brakes are adjusted properly so that they're slightly causing a little bit of friction with the drum when you're installing it. And then I'm just giving it another wash with some brake cleaner. Also make sure that you reattach the brake line to the back of the wheel cylinder. So yeah, that's pretty much the process of rebuilding your rear drums on a 1985 Volkswagen Vanagon Westfalia. Thank you guys for watching. Hope to see you in the next video, and God bless.